All right. Just gonna test out the audio. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to be starting soon. Let me know if the audio quality is good. We'll be getting started shortly. So sort of explain, this is sort of like a weekly live stream that I'll be doing every Friday. This episode, I wanted to be sort of like a mix between the Q&A and also BlackBuntu, which is sort of in the title of the live stream. But it was something that was actually sent to me, or actually found probably last week, towards the end of last week, which is quite interesting. It's sort of like a repackaged, re-released version of the same project. I'm not sure who the actual maintainers are. But yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're coming from. So yeah, again, these sessions are going to be, for you guys. So, feel free to ask me any questions. Yeah, I just thought that this would be a good way of sort of interacting with the community, and I'll be doing this on a weekly basis because I really like the last live stream was really cool. I really liked interacting with you. I'll try and keep these ones short. I don't want to keep them too long. How to get started in ethical hacking. I think I've covered that quite a bit, especially in my previous video, or the video that I just released this week. Hi everyone. Hi Paracon, Thailand. Hi Alessandro. Hi Gaming with Sai. Hi Tony. Yep. Thanks, Retro Kid. I'm still making content, just been extremely busy. Yeah, thanks. Haircut thought I need a bit of a change from my previous one. But yeah, favorite programming languages depends on what I'm building. I'm primarily doing a lot of Windows dev right now, so C# primarily. I don't really like it, but I think my favorite will probably be C++ or Python, because that's what I learned programming with in university. So they sort of I've had a long history with them. Yeah, so I think I'll answer some of your questions and we'll begin. Again, it's just going to be a very loose conversation. So Troops is asking, I'm facing burnout. Any solution? Yeah, burnout. That's a big one, especially in the technology or cybersecurity field. If you're facing burnout, I would recommend sort of assessing your lifestyle to see whether there's some sort of an imbalance. And of course, I'm not one to say that you need a perfect work-life balance or anything like that, although that is important. But usually when you do get into a state of burnout, it's because you've been doing the same things, repeatedly, without much of a change or a switch up. Another thing that usually affects a lot of people is lack of exercise, lack of general physical activity, and a lack of care for your health. Which I know, sounds like something that you might ignore when you're younger, but trust me, it's something I took for granted when I was younger, and I suffered from burnout as well to a certain extent. But the most important thing is to put a few things as a priority. Your work or your studies can be a priority, but it's always good to essentially have a good level of physical physical exercise on a daily basis. It doesn't need to be extreme or anything like that. It can just be, maybe 1 hour a day or half an hour a day, as long as you're keeping your heart your heart rate up. So I'd recommend that, sort of assessing your lifestyle, looking at where you can improve with regards to your physical activity. And the other thing is, of course, I think with burnout is sort of assessing what you've been doing, try and switch things up a little bit, try and, shift things around your current setup. That usually helps me whenever I'm feeling like I'm in a state of burnout. It's usually because things have become very stale. And I'm actually prone to that quite a lot. So when I typically move my monitors around, switch them up, just get me into a state of change. And that usually fixes it up. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Let me see if we have any other questions. How to focus in study? Yeah, that's difficult. I've become much better at that over the years. I think if I could share any advice is learn how you learn. What does that mean? Well, it means it's very important that you understand how you learn things. So some people learn by reading, just straight up reading. Other people learn by talking or dictating whatever they're doing. So as they're doing something, you essentially dictate. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually there's a lot of science behind this. So learning how you learn. So are you a reader or are you a talker? And I think what I would also recommend is if you ever, like learning a new technology or anything like that, the best way is never to start with the tutorials or documentation. Is just get your hands dirty immediately with it, because that's where sort of procrastination sets in. And I'm more of an empiricist, which means I believe that you learn by doing. So I believe you learn or you get your start by doing, and then you answer the questions that you have later through videos, through books, etc. So that's what I would recommend. So there are some people who also learn by writing. So whenever they're going through a lecture, they just jot down notes. It doesn't matter whether they'll use the notes at all. It's just a process that helps them iron out their thoughts. The other thing, of course, is to get rid of distractions. And this is something that you need to do. I personally, on my research system on my laptop, I'm not logged into any social media. I don't check my emails. I pretty much put everything on silent or I turn it off. And I usually have headphones with music, whatever helps you get in, and essentially focus. And set a very, very small amount of time, maybe 1 or 2 hours, and say, this is what I'm going to do. It doesn't matter. Don't focus too much on the output or the outcome. Just say, I'm going to get started, and then just let your curiosity take you or lead you through. Yeah. Checking some of the other comments. Let's see. Sassy Wuku. Is that your name? I don't know. Probably. Greetings, Wise Shabazz. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here. 1 second. I'll get to your questions. Let me know if the video audio quality is good. I suffer from neck pain. Yeah. So if you suffer from neck pain, the most important thing is to maintain, I think, a posture that's easier said than done. And also to constantly be stretching and exercising your neck muscles, which again comes down to physical exercise. And never be in a slouching position. That's usually very common when you're working on a laptop. But when I'm working on a laptop, I typically now, rest back or have my back rested. Or, I typically lean backwards and I keep my neck in an upright position, although I still have a very bad habit of always leaning in. As for additional advice regarding neck pain, I would say also, try and avoid using more than one pillow. That's usually helped me as well when sleeping. And use a pillow that sort of accommodates the distance between the tip or the end of your shoulder and the point where your neck begins. So that's typically a good range there. So we'll get started shortly with BlackBuntu. And I said this session is primarily for you, for those who have just joined. This is sort of a weekly live chat, a live stream I'll be doing. I will be discussing different topics, but it's primarily for me and you guys to engage and communicate. Have I ever been on the dark web? Yes, I have, for a very long time. You can check some of my earlier videos. I believe I have a few deep web browsing videos. I stopped going on to it, just lost interest in it because everything just became pretty much either a honeypot or primarily went down the line of drugs or just illegal stuff. It's not as interesting as it used to be. All right, I'm getting some of your latest questions. Aurel is asking, I'm new in the field. I'll be passing the CCNA soon. I wanted to first get the basics of networking. What do you suggest doing after that? So yeah, that's a good question. It depends on what type of role you're looking to get into. So maybe you can share some more about that. Emacs versus Vim. I use Vim. I mean, I've used Emacs before, and LaTeX when I was in university for doing documentation and stuff, but my muscle memory is more accustomed to Vim. All right, so I think I'll get back to your question. So a lot of people ask me what BlackBuntu is. The reason I wanted to cover it is because firstly, I like Ubuntu, not in its current state. I have a lot of complaints about that, but I sort of got my start in Linux or with computing with a computer or laptop that came pre-packaged with Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is something that is very very I hold dear in my heart. When it comes down to BlackBuntu was a project that's existed for a very long time. I can't remember when I first saw it, but probably around 2015 or 16. I'm not sure, but the reason I wanted to make the video is because someone brought it to my attention last week that there's been an updated sort of re-released version. Again, not sure about who is maintaining it, but they have a website, very nice website. So BlackBuntu is essentially a pen testing distro that's based on Ubuntu. So you can just, again, it's a lot of you may be wondering like why it's pretty much similar to what you might get even if you set up Kali with GNOME or anything like that. But I sort of like their philosophy in that they're not entirely focused now on pen testing or offensive security, but it sort of has a balance between that, between testing or security testing, privacy, as well as development to a certain extent. So you can see by default, I've just added a couple of shortcuts here of some tools that I was running this week. But it comes, pre-packaged with the Tor browser. There's a few security optimizations that come done or, pre-configured, like unattended updates, which I personally don't like. But again, the objective is to have that balance. So it's as the website says here, it's a security focused distribution. And I wanted to sort of review it throughout this entire week for a plethora of projects I was working on. One of them just doing standard pen testing, as well as writing a bit of code, a very small amount of not really code but scripts, and sort of tested around, also playing around with the Tor browser a little bit. But yeah, this is the website. It's blackbuntu.org. You can see that some of the motivations behind it are around the fact that it's user friendly, because obviously it's based on Ubuntu. It's modern, that's true. It does have a modern look, but again, based on Ubuntu, so take that with a pinch of salt. And it has, I would say, quite a decent support of tools or for tools and customization. Now, again, this is something that I wouldn't use in its current state for a real pen test until I've configured it, because It doesn't come with all the tools that I require, but you can actually see on the repository, they actually link out what tools it actually comes with, and as well as the packages, dependencies, etc. So it comes with a fair bit of tools. So, you can see right over here, your common tools, utilities. You have your forensic stuff here. So autopsy, bin, utils, bin walk. Let's see what else under common utilities. Hex edit, HD track, which I like personally, as well as a few other things like proxy chains. So out of the gates, it comes, out of the gate, it comes with a pretty fair amount of tools. For cracking, I found that this was pretty good, that it came with John, Hashcat, Hydra, etc. And then, crypto tools. So it actually has support for crypto wallets. So, you have Electrum, Monero. For exploitation, this is where it sort of falls short, but I can sort of understand why. You only have WebSploit and Yersinia, which Yersinia is, the typical use case is for network attacks. I typically use it for DHCP starvation, so on and so forth. And then the forensic tools are listed explicitly here. The categorization is a little bit weird because, APK tool is not really what I would consider a hardening tool, but you also have the info gathering tools. Doesn't come with stuff like GoBuster, networking tools, reverse engineering, sniffing, a few other utilities, and wireless tools. So I would say it's sort of like it is very, very close to Kali, but of course with the exclusion of some very important packages or packages that are very important to me. So let me check some of your questions and I'll sort of explain this. I'll sort of go over this a little bit more. Let's see. ARKilla is saying, can you do a benchmark test on which hacking OS is more fast or has more performance irrespective to UI? I would say that that would probably be BlackArch or Kali. So what I typically do to improve the speed of my VMs specifically is on Debian, I use the ZanMod kernel, which speeds up the performance quite a bit. But of course, I'm running GNOME, so it's going to be fairly resource heavy in terms of just the base RAM usage here. So you can see I have like for this VM like 4 gigs dedicated of RAM and 6 cores here. I'm already using like 1.8 gig, of course, considering the fact that I have Firefox. But I typically install ZanMod. ZanMod is sort of like a custom Linux kernel that has some very cool features. The reason I use it is because it sort of provides you with much faster performance out of the gate. And you can take a look at some of the features. One of the features that I really like is, of course, the full multi-core block layer. Run queue request for high I/O throughput, which is very useful in VMs. Another feature that I really, really like, I don't know whether it's listed here. It's actually not listed here, but they sort of have two versions of the kernel. There's a sort of a real-time kernel. So you can see the real-time version is recommended for critical runtime applications such as Linux gaming, a client for esports, streaming, live productions, which is what I like because it's, as you can see, ultra low latency. I can sort of go over how it does this, but that's what I install on Debian-based distributions, especially VMs. So I was actually going to get to that. GoBuster is not installed, but remember, BlackBuntu does not have their own repository. So all the tools are installed per release, and you can't really update them through a repository, which means you need to update them yourself. You can actually verify that. Now, for the actual releases, they have one based on 18.04, which I personally like. There's also 22.04, which is the latest Ubuntu release, and 20.04, which is what I'm currently using. The size is quite large. It's about 6 gigs for the ISO. There's no VM images yet, of course, but again, this is something that's very new, at least in my eye. So it's currently being developed and maintained by a company called Neos Lab. I'm not really sure about them, or I haven't heard about them, but again, this looks like a fairly new release. Now, the main question is, why did I want to test this out? And of course, at first glance, it may look like something kind of redundant to do, especially with all the pen testing distros out there or security testing distros that you have out there. But as I said, I personally like Ubuntu, and I like the balance of packages that it comes pre-packaged with. So they're all sorted here into their individual folders. The only thing, of course, you need to do is install whatever packages you want. Now, I really don't have a problem with this because I've used Ubuntu before and sort of configured it with the testing packages that I need. So I thought I'd test it out and see how it performs. So performance has been great. The only reason why I would use this is, or why someone would use this is because either, or rather, firstly, they like Ubuntu and they like the GNOME desktop experience, which again, you can also get on Kali, which is not really a problem. But another one, of course, is the support from Ubuntu and their official repos. Now, what I typically use to sort of install the tools that I need is, let's see if I can find it here. Let me just change this to English here. There we are. This is PTF. So this sort of allows me to install all the tools I need. So the pen tester framework, which I've covered on the channel before, is sort of like a Python script that's designed for Debian, Ubuntu, and Arch Linux-based distros to create a similar and familiar distribution for pen testing. So this pretty much has all the tools that I need. You can actually take a look at the GitHub repo. I think I have it on the desktop here because I wanted to show you this here. So PTF, I actually installed Metasploit with PTF, no issues at all. I can actually show you that right now. So on Ubuntu, it sorts out the dependencies for you. It also installs the Postgres server and configures, well, not really configures the database for you, but in this case, let me just say no, delete my existing configurations, no. Okay, so 1 second, I should have reinitialized, but I just set it up to demonstrate this. So just show you that it does indeed work. Let's see. Any questions here? Right, so I've missed a lot of questions. There's no real disadvantages. It just comes down to personal preferences. I can't really compare Kali and BlackBuntu to anything like that. But yeah, you can actually see that Metasploit works. And, if I say DB status, for example, connected to the database here, I can create workspaces, etc. So as I said, I typically utilize PTF in addition, or when I'm setting up custom boxes, either in the cloud or on a VPS. It's fairly easy to use. Let me see. Let me show you this here. So PTF. Let me just put in my password, and it'll automatically detect your distribution. And I can say show modules. It sort of has a syntax like the Metasploit framework. And these are all the modules you can install. So these are all tools, and there's quite a few, contained here. So I can install Bloodhound, I can install Empire, and let's see, some additional ones that I do typically install when I'm doing an assessment. We already have Hashcat and stuff like that done, but you can also see you also have support for C2 frameworks. So like DNS Cat 2 is here, which I also like. I believe you also have Covenant as well, though I'm not really sure. That was at one point supported. There's also a collection of Black Arch web shells here. Let's see. What are the tools I typically utilize. So a mass auto recon. There's also the Sniper framework for recon, enum for Linux, which doesn't come prepackaged. I believe NocPy comes prepackaged with BlackBuntu, but yeah, there's a ton of tools you can install. Again, it sorts out all the dependencies for you. Yeah, but let me just see. Let me just take a look at the questions now. Let's see. All right, so Tai Kwan Gong asks, how do you handle the feeling like you're not understanding all the hacking topics 100%? How do you judge your progress in hacking learning? How does one handle self-doubt in hacking and comparing? Yeah, so that's the first problem, is stop comparing yourself to anyone, really. I understand that tracking your progress or being ambitious is a good thing, but when you compare yourself to someone else, you're not taking into account that they had a different starting point, and they probably, maybe, again, I'm just using a few scenarios here, they could have started this 3 to 5 years before you, stuff like that. Some people just have an aptitude for certain topics. So when you start comparing yourself, the problem is, once you do that, you then come up with like a thought process where you need to sort of compete with that person in a particular topic or in a particular space. The problem with that is that sort of goes against your personal nature. Now, that may work if you do have an aptitude for that particular topic. You may be able to compete. But when you're talking about learning, the objective should never be, I want to know what he knows or what she knows. Instead, it should be about, I want to be better than I was yesterday. So if you can learn something and be at least even 1% better than you were yesterday, that's really the only thing. So that's what you should be focusing on, is, there's no complete straight path to learning a particular topic 100%, because you can't learn anything 100%. There's always something new you learn. The most important thing that you need to note or that you need to understand is, stop trying to complete things. I mean, it's not a video game. You can't learn a tool or a technique 100%. What you can do is you can become effective with a particular tool or with a particular technique or within a particular topic. But it's not a wise thing to sort of say, I want to go from 0 to 100%, because in reality, there is no 100%. And so what will end up happening is, as you start learning a particular topic or how to use a tool or a particular technique, as you'll start understanding and discovering that this is way bigger than you thought it was, and that sort of demoralizes you, if that makes any sense, and then you just stop doing it and you get off track, etc. So just go into it with an open mind and with the objective of just learning. There's no end point or finish line with regards to learning or mastering a tool. Certifications have sort of been the way to do that, but certifications are just a milestone. They don't mean that you've learned something 100%. They just mean that, and I actually like them for that reason. They just mean that you have learned, or you have been able to become good at or gain experience with a certain set of tools and techniques to a certain extent. So you're good at something, and the certification or the exam sort of verifies that and says, okay, this guy is good, and he can do so and so and so and so with whatever level of competency that's being assessed. Mario Costa asks, I'm finishing my second year of computer science at my local university. I want to focus on cybersecurity. Do you recommend I focus on getting any certification before you finish your degree? Yeah, that's definitely a good idea. If you're in university, I would recommend getting the Security Plus first. That's a very good intro to security in general. And that'll sort of give you an idea, a very brief idea as to where you can sort of go, because cybersecurity is made up of multiple sub-niches or sub-industries, if that makes sense. Of course, at the topmost layer, you have offensive or defensive. But start off with Security Plus. If you're interested, if you're really passionate about offensive security and you know that this is something you want to do, then you can start going for the offensive certs. But for most people, I would say don't lock yourself down or silo yourself into any specific sector or niche within cybersecurity. Try everything out. Get an experience for blue teaming, and maybe you want to work in the SOC, for example. Get your hands dirty with the defensive tools, and also try out some defensive certs. I also, take quite a few defensive certs, even though that's not my focus. That's not what I do primarily. But yeah. Could you spin it? Long name dude asks, could you spin this up using Proxmox? Yes, you can. I mean, it's at the moment it's an ISO, so you can install it with no issues. So 8-bit Oni says, if I'm not mistaken, GoBuster is not standard on Kali. That's true. It doesn't come prepackaged with Kali, but it's available in the repos. BlackBuntu doesn't have repos, so you need to go through something like this. It should be here. There we are. So you need to use something like PTF on this. So that's something that you need to understand. Again, I'm not encouraging anyone to try out BlackBuntu because the experience is much more different than what you have on Kali. There are no updates. Everything has to be updated itself, which is where, you know, sort of an intermediary framework like PTF comes into play. Hey, Beardsen is here. Thanks for joining. All right, so no, it's not my first live stream. I'm trying to do this like on a weekly basis. Just a sort of a mix of discussing a particular topic and answering questions. Sorry, I'm actually getting quite lost with the questions, but hold on, I'll try and answer them, and then we can sort of proceed. There's a few, a bit more I would like to cover. But let's see. Kali Linux, how to use Kali Linux on an i3 8 gig RAM VM machine. I'm not sure I understand. You mean like set up a VM on that system with those system specifications in a, or using a hypervisor? Is that your question? I mean, that's fairly straightforward. I think that's quite easy to do. You just get VirtualBox. Try and get maybe the lighter version of Kali. I think they have an LXQT one. Something, but XFC works just as well. That works quite well. Where can I learn reverse engineering? So you have any experience in reverse engineering to begin with? That's by God. So it looks like we have God in chat. Where can I learn reverse engineering? Okay, reverse engineering. There is a book I can recommend that I really, really like. Let me see if I can find it here. Just give me a moment. I would probably recommend that as anyone's starting point. Remember, if you're getting into reverse engineering, you need to have some experience with code and assembly. But this book sort of goes through that and sort of covers, you know, important stuff like registers and the difference between x86, x64. Just give me a few minutes and I'll probably share the link to that book. It's not expensive at all. Let's see. CEH isn't worth it. Yeah, not at the moment. The practical version of CEH is good, but in my opinion, it doesn't cover enough to warrant sort of to warrant it being a useful cert anymore. I mean, I actually did it, so I'm talking from experience. Most of the assignments were specifically around Wireshark and analyzing PCAP files, which was a bit strange, but again, not entirely focused on that, but that's all I could remember from that exam, was just analyzing PCAP files. Let's see. Okay. CyberTalk. Yeah, that's the correct name. Yeah, I'll answer a few more, and then we can proceed on. I'm doing my CS degree starting this March. I want to be the first on Try Hack Me leaderboard in my country, Sri Lanka. Any tips for me to grind with my degree? No real tips. Just grind. Try Hack Me is not like Hack the Box. It's not built around. It doesn't have a competitive edge. The only competitive edge is that leaderboard, which everyone wants to top. So if there's no real grind to it, you just set up a specific amount of time every day, and again treat it, these platforms are all gamified, which is what they're trying to do. So, you know, I'll actually prove this to you. Is it hackthebox.eu? I haven't used hackthebox in a while, or actually hackthebox.com, but all of these platforms, Hack the Box, TryHackMe, they all incorporate a level of gamification. So you can see it. Look at the keywords, a massive hacking playground. So just think of it as something you're doing whenever you have free time. Again, I understand that you want to reach the top of the leaderboard, but I would also like to know what your motivations are for that, and what you expect out of that, apart from just uh, the clout that you would get from being number one on TryHackMe. I mean, so yeah, the platforms like HackerBox and TryHackMe are just gamified. So don't take it too seriously. If you want to rank up, then understand that you need to put in a lot of time. So probably 4 hours a day, probably more than that. If you do want to now, get to the top of the leaderboard, and remember, I believe TryHackMe is because of sort of the competitive based point system, the competition based point system, you sort of need to ensure that you maintain that. It was sort of like what Hack the Box had, where if you stopped like getting points and you like stopped for a month, which I did frequently, you'd actually lose your rank. So keep that in mind. Chris is asking, what's BlackBuntu? BlackBuntu is sort of like a new pen testing security based Linux distro that I'd seen this a while back. It's actually been a very long term project that started, at least as far as I can remember, probably in 2015, but it's been revamped over time, and this is sort of like a re-release. Again, it's being maintained by a company called Neos Lab. I'm not sure. Again, I thought it was pretty cool. Someone told me about it last week. I wanted to try it out. So I'll come back to BlackBuntu. Let me just answer a couple of questions. Yeah, ZenMod will speed up your VM. It's pretty good, especially for Debian-based distros. Especially if you're running it in a VM, the latency is much better. Awesome, thanks a lot, Beard Sen. At least that's your name in this particular question. I appreciate that. How to build an environment for red teaming. I'll get to that. Jason, you always have great content. Will do. Thank you very much for the feedback. Is it possible to simulate a network? Yes, you can. I'll probably get to that question shortly. I just want to answer a couple more. I'm trying to read all the questions. There's quite a lot of. All right, Mr. Unknown seems to be saying that I'm ignoring his question. How do you build your own botnet, and how to install and how to test it? Please help me. Why is no one making a video on YouTube? Yeah, that's because the reason why I can't cover topics like phishing, specifically related to red teaming and botnets, and also C2 frameworks to a larger extent, is because YouTube's policy is against that. So I can try and do that, but I'll get I'll get a few guideline strikes, and then the channel will be taken down like it was 2 years ago, when I had like multiple videos on phishing. Again, fully legal, just talking about go fish and stuff. But yeah, I'll try and cover it. If I can share some resources on it, I can. Building your own botnet also ties in very closely to sort of a peer-to-peer C2 framework. But yeah. Traveling Taylor, thank you for the feedback. IL, how do I make my malware execute without, well, what type of malware is it? Is it, have you backdoored a portable executable? Is it a document? I need to know what type of malware it is, because you can execute, HDAs, stuff like that in the browser, which I'm assuming that's what you're sort of interested in. But yeah, I need some more context in order to answer that correctly. Oh, Harold Potter. Oh man, I've really tried to set out some time to record the other episodes of Hacker Simulator. That's like at least 1 year old now. The last video I uploaded. In fact, it's 1 year to this day that I uploaded the last episode. I mean, time just has flown by. I still have the exact save state, so I'll probably try and get into it. I don't know, sometime this month and record a set of them so I can publish them because it was actually kind of good fun. They've made a few updates. I think one of them was the ability to increase the font size in the terminal, but it's still on Steam. Really liked it. There's a couple others that you guys had recommended, which I'm yet to try out, but I'll definitely be resuming the Hacker Simulator playthrough. IL says you're ignoring mine. How to make a self-executing malware when it downloads or something. Okay, I'll answer your questions. Just give me a few seconds. There's a lot of comments that are coming through. So, how to make self-executing malware when it downloads or something. That's a bit problematic, but the best, I think the only direction I can send you down if you want a POC at the moment is to leverage HTAs, which will only be effective in Microsoft Edge. It's the only way to it's the only technique that fits within your criteria of auto executing immediately when you visit a site. And HTAs are only executed in Edge, so I would recommend researching that, how to develop an HTA that you can then chain it in multiple ways. You can set up a web server that's hosting a malicious executable, and then write the HTA script to download it and then execute it. Although take into consideration that this will be saving the malware or the executable on disk. So what you could try and do is also set up a PowerShell script and then get the HTA to actually execute the code, the PowerShell code inline. That's really what I would recommend. Okay, all right. Hold on. Okay. I believe I have done a video on installing Arch, Menatic. It's somewhere on my channel. I can't remember, but I have installed Arch from scratch. Yeah, I think I did. It was quite a long video, but yeah. Long name dude picked up a USB ducky clone beyond expected use cases. They're actually great for usage as lazy digital multi-tools. Yeah, I mean, that USB rubber duckies are extremely effective for the red team ops, if you know what I mean. Is although now people are less tempted to pick up a flash drive, at least from my experience, but especially the younger generation. Is not to be confused with Ubuntu Satanic. Is Ubuntu Satanic edition? Oh, that's funny. AR killer as the start of the pen tester journey, which is helpful in the long-term use of VMs or dual boot. So it depends on what resources you have on your computer. If you have a decent laptop with like 8 gigs of RAM, I think that'll work out. i3, i5 doesn't really matter. Then go for a VM. VMs don't need much. Kali can run comfortably on 2 gigs of RAM. So I don't recommend dual booting because of all the hassle. Dual booting does work well on a Mac, but on standard PCs, yeah. Unless if you do have a PC. You can do a dual boot by just installing it on another drive or an SSD. That will work fine. But in dual booting by installing on the same drive that has the Windows or whatever the operating system's bootloader, that's a bad idea. So IL says your video lagged. Can you say that again? I want any payload to self-execute. So again, I need to understand your access vector. So what are you targeting? How do you expect your target to actually firstly download the malware? Is it through a browser? If it's through a browser, then you'd need to set up a site, as I said, with an HTA. HTA is an HTML application. It's slightly different from an HTML file, but it allows for the execution of it allows you to execute code specifically in Internet Explorer and Edge, I believe, to a certain extent, and you can actually interact with ActiveX on Windows and a few with the Windows API, but to a limited extent. The important thing to note, or the reasons why this one is so effective and it's still being used, I've seen a lot of red teamers use it, is because when you execute an HTA within Edge, or when you navigate to let's say the target navigates to a URL that that points directly to the HTA, the HTA executes, but it executes with the user privileges. So that particular execution of the HTA goes outside of the sandboxing of the browser. So you're not executing with the let's say the privileges associated with what a browser may have. So browsers typically have very low privileges and are sandboxed, but with HTAs you execute it with the privileges of the user account that is currently using the browser or is executing it. So what I was saying is, based on the explanation you've given me, the attack vector I would recommend is setting up a web server that hosts an HTA. All right, and of course you'll need to ensure that the target is most likely an organization that has Edge or is using Windows 10 or 11 Enterprise. You send them that in an email, for example. By default, it should open up in Edge, and as I said, the HTA script can be configured to do multiple things. The HTA does not have to contain the malicious code. It can contain a reference or a pointer to a web server or a C2 server that you've set up that's hosting the actual payload. The payload can either be an executable, a document, or a PowerShell script. The example I was saying is you can configure the HTA script, the HTA itself, to execute a PowerShell script or a piece of PowerShell code. You can encode it in base64. You can get that to be executed inline, so you don't have to save or download anything to disk. So hopefully that answers your question. Vasil Dimitrov asks, what certification would you recommend for an experienced sysadmin moving towards IT security? All right, so this is a conversation I like having because I was a sysadmin before moving into security. In this case, you've mentioned IT security, so I'm not sure whether offensive or defensive, but I know you have experience with Linux and networking, so I know you're good on that front. What I would recommend always, whoever is transitioning from another career into cybersecurity, is get the Security Plus just as a starting point. That's something that not only because it's quite good or it's well recognized by HR departments, but also because it sort of gives you that proper intro to security and security concepts, governance, risk and compliance, the CIA triad, etc. But it'll sort of give you that lay of the land with regards to security. And then from that point, you either decide you want to go down the offensive side or the defensive side. But I recommend starting out with that. For starter certs, if you're testing things out, if you're looking for the for offensive certs, you can try out the AJPT, the OSCP. Of course, these are certs that will require some prep, but that's what I would recommend. I can't really say anything on the blue team side because I don't. All of the certs I have on the blue team side are tool specific, so QRadar, SIEM specific stuff. Yeah, hopefully I answered your question. All right, so I'll try and answer this in a video. So I'll cover a video on how to develop or how to leverage HTAs, and also I'll cover a Visual Basic or macros and how to embed them in documents and how to chain attacks, because in red teaming, that's what you're doing. I understand your question. An HTA will be able to auto-execute if you've written it well. So I'll probably make that a video topic. Yes, the shitmaker Craig. This live stream is going to be saved. Okay. HTA is an HTML application. As I said, I'd much rather cover it in its own video, because I need to give... I'll need to explain a bit of syntax and how it interacts with Windows and ActiveX to execute shell commands and even PowerShell commands. Well, not really PowerShell, but you invoke PowerShell and then, you execute it inline, and you can also add additional flags. Yeah, Traveling Tailor, that is correct. There's no real blue team. Actually, hold on. There is one, I believe, that is trying to do this for SOC analysts. That is Security Blue. I haven't tried them, but they sort of have these designed for SOC analysts. So you have SOC tier 1, 2, and 3. In their case, it's blue team level 1, 2, and 3. And they also have a certified security operations manager, so CSOM. Again, the level 3 and the CSOM are in development. But these are the topics they cover. So, phishing analysis, threat intelligence, digital forensics, SIEMs. No real specifics there. Incident response, malware analysis, threat hunting, and advanced SIEM. So again, I'm not recommending anything. I'm just saying that there are companies trying to do that. And Traveling Tailor, I've worked in blue team for a few on the blue team side for a few years now. That's cool. Yeah, as I said, when I do get involved in the blue team, it's typically to learn a specific tool. And yeah, you're right. Most of the certs are tool specific. And the only reason why I go for the certs is because they offer training, and maybe that training is not accessible anywhere else. That's really the only reason. Okay, I'm sort of going off track. I've answered. I haven't even gone through BlackBuntu, because I sort of wanted to review it and sort of give my thoughts and opinions on it. And of course, I'm not going to say whether I do recommend it or not. I'm just going to state facts as they are. But let me answer a couple of other questions here. CyberTalk, that's awesome. That's cool. Again, I was looking to try them out, the Security Blue certs. If they're good, then I'll definitely check them out. What option of BlackBuntu is best to download? Remember, I was testing this out. The only reason I use Ubuntu is because of their support, with regards to packages. So I use the stable releases always. So 20.04, 18.04, I believe, is still being supported. I believe security updates. Although that's not really needed, because this is a VM and I can just restore or just go back. But yeah, I haven't tried 22.04, but the latest releases, because of the way it's built and the fact that it doesn't have repos, the latest release obviously has the latest versions of tools. So one thing I can commend the BlackBuntu team on is the fact that all of their tools actually work. Like, they'll not find any dependency issues. So, I can give you a few examples. Let's see, one that I was pleasantly surprised by. Let's see, was it actually here? Hold on. exploitation. I installed Metasploit. That's obviously not going to be added there. Hold on. Did it come with crackmap? No. Okay, yeah, I was thinking of something else. Hold the phone. I'll just show you a couple of examples here, like Fierce. Fierce is ridiculously difficult to get set up if you're trying to do it manually. You know, if you're doing DNS, if you're doing, trying to brute force subdomains and stuff like that, I really like Fierce. I believe it also comes with KnockPy. If not, then yeah, that's the. Again, I haven't tested all of the tools. I just used it for a couple of stuff that I was doing. Not on this specific one. This is a new VM that I set up. But yeah, you can see it also comes with web shells, which I'll show off, and Powersploit. The only thing I did not like that I would have liked to see is, it should have come with some word lists. I understand that stuff like sec lists or the sec list word lists are quite large, but then again, these can be installed with PTF. They also have a couple of additional ones that you can try out. Sec lists. Yeah, there we are. So they actually, PTF allows you to do that. The great thing I also like with PTF is it actually installs all the tools in a folder called tools. Was it in the root or in your home directory? Where did I configure mine? Hold the phone. Yeah, there we are, pen test. So it actually saves them in the root of the Linux file system under a folder called pen test. So this is where Metasploit is, and there's a README here. So there we are. It points to towards the OPT folder. So that's where all additional, at least larger tools will be set up. So, if I take a look at the OPT, we have Metasploit framework. These are the binaries. Hold the phone. So these are all the BlackBuntu tools. But I didn't know they were stored here. I thought they were stored in their respective directories. But yeah. Any questions? That's a good question, Marco. Marco Campione asks, apologies for mispronouncing your name. What do you think about starting with a sock position? Sorry, I'm just going to try and read your comments and still be in the face, still have my face still being displayed. But what do you think of starting with a sock position after a computer science bachelor and then specialize in blue or red team? Starting with the SOC, that's always a great place to start. I really like the defensive side of things. I think it gives you a lot of tacit experience with operating systems, networking, an understanding of what attacks look like. So while I didn't traditionally start in what you'd now call the blue team or a SOC, I started in a sector that at that point would have been called information security. So very, very basic stuff, setting up security policies, doing audits, doing vulnerability assessments, stuff like that. But it gave me a lot of experience that then helped me later on when I was moving into the offensive side. All right, Mr. Unknown, I've spent 2 months on this topic. I got 0 in my internal exams and 1 month of exams coming here because of this. I have no patience. I'm not sure. Is this topic part of the exam? Oh, yes. Yes. I have that here. I have my version at least. I think I can show you this. This is always with me wherever I go, whenever I'm doing an assessment, though that's not common anymore. But I have it here, always ready to go. I think I'll just show you this. This is a must-have. But of course, I know that there is the blue team field manual. There we are. I have it right over here. I don't know whether you can see this. Here's the webcam. This is always with me. But yeah, Red Team Field Manual is a must-have whenever you're doing any type of op. Ilja Brutal. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. What should some beginner and intermediate avoid to get paid in web bug bounty programs? So what should they avoid? What they should avoid is wanting to compete immediately or wanting to get bounties immediately instead of finding out what vulnerability they're good in finding and then bettering their skills in that and focusing on specific programs instead of just trying every program. As I've always said with bug bounties, you need to understand that at the moment, because of the maturity of the industry, and I think I can call it an industry at this point, is you're now competing with top guys because they've been doing this for 10 years now, almost, probably even longer, some of the top guys. So instead of going into that competitive space to begin with, I would recommend trying, firstly, to get a grip of what you're good at with regards to bug bounties. Are you good in finding LFI? Are you good in finding cross-site scripting vulnerabilities? And then start off with websites that you use, specifically ones specific to your region. So common websites that you use, like your banking application. I'm not encouraging you to go out and hack it. I'm just saying your focus should be on stuff that you're already aware of with regards to web apps. All right? And you should start locally. The reason why I'm saying this is because you need to get that pressure off your back that you need to get paid. And it's going to take a while before you get paid. I mean, I think in my life, I've only probably been paid for 5 bounties. And again, I don't do it because I don't have time. And that should tell you a lot. If you're doing bug bounties, it needs to be every day. And it's essentially a full-time working job, regardless of whether you're being paid a full-time wage or you're making enough from your bounties. You need to spend a lot of time. You need to be, ahead of the curve with regards to finding vulnerabilities, reporting them correctly. But yeah, what I would recommend is read a lot of reports, a lot of disclosures by some of the other people on the the bug bounty platforms. Again, I can't really share more than that because I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, I'm going through some of the other questions. Okay, I think I'm getting through them now. Yes, I do recommend using this in a VM. I can't really pronounce your name. I'm gonna try. Sislamer Georgi. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly. Is this the distro you mentioned? No. As I said, we have our own distro that we use in-house. We haven't released it yet. Again, some of the infrastructure that we need to set up for the repos is a lot. So we're working on getting some the stable repo set up. This Viper Linux. We haven't released it yet, but this is built from the ground up. It's not based on any distro, and it's extremely lightweight and fast. This is what we use for assessments. We also have built a framework now, sort of like PTF, but for our deployments on VPS. On VPSs, whenever we're doing sort of whenever we're testing internal infrastructure externally. But yeah, I'll update you once it's released. Again, I didn't imagine. I knew that it was going to be a haul, but getting a distro up and running, with repo, with packages being updated constantly is a lot of work. So I'm really pushing for release this year, early this year, I should say. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen this year, but Good question, Vampy Toast. So that's what I was getting to. That's what I was actually getting to. The only advantage, and again, this is my opinion. The only advantages I would say of using BlackBuntu over something like Kali, Parrot, and Black Arch, maybe even Pentu, which I think is still there, like a pen testing distro built on Gentoo. Yeah, the only advantages are, firstly, you somewhat get control of the tools that you have. Of course, not explicitly, because it does come with packages or tools that you might consider bloat. Like, for example, I don't need the crypto wallets. They're not useful for me. So there's that. The only reason why it would be better is you get somewhat of of control of, with regards to what packages you have. The second is if you like Ubuntu, if you're an Ubuntu fanatic. I am not, but I wanted to try it out, and I've actually enjoyed my experience with BlackBuntu. Again, it's pretty much just Ubuntu. What version did I download? 20.04 running pen testing tools, but there are a few improvements, and that's what I wanted to talk about. So specifically with regards to the security improvements, again, there's no custom kernel, at least I don't think so. I remember I checked this. Yeah, it's using the standard Ubuntu kernel, whatever Ubuntu sends out. But I'm trying to recollect my thoughts here. Yeah, what I was pointing out was you'd only use it if you liked Ubuntu, and it's pretty much just like running a standard version of Ubuntu, but with all the tools. As I said, there are a few differences. One of them is you get the excellent support of the Ubuntu packages with regards to standard tools and utilities and security updates. So what that means is that it's built on a stable distribution. Kali is tailor-made software. I've said that many times. These are specifically designed for specific types of objectives and goals. They're not designed to be run as a primary distribution or as your host operating system. They can work, but that's not what they're designed to do. So Ubuntu may be an option, or BlackBuntu may be an option if you're looking for Ubuntu, but with everything set up, and then you can sort of fill in the blanks with regards to the tools that are missing as you go along with something like the pen tester framework. Now, this is something that I would recommend to the BlackBuntu team, if they do ever stumble upon this video, is to include something like the pen tester framework, so that guys can install what they want, or to even build their own framework. Because again, without repos and packages being updated, I know that the tools or the versions of the tools that come pre-packaged with the distros already work and are stable, which is a great thing. It means that, they're going to work just fine. Updating them can be a bit of an issue, because that would have to be done manually. Alternatively, when it comes down to updating, like the pre-installed tools, the only way of doing it cleanly would be uninstalling the pre-packaged version and then installing the new one with the pen tester framework. So I would highly recommend that they integrate this into their distribution, because it would make a lot of sense. In fact, I'm actually shocked that none of the distributions have done this, obviously because they have their own repos, but I think for some of the other bespoke tools that are not found within their repos, like there are actually a couple of them, and I have used this on Kali before, especially for installing the C2 frameworks. And I believe they do have Covenant, which can be quite a pain to get set up. Let me search for it. I don't know why I didn't think of that. They didn't have Covenant. Do they have Havoc? No Havoc. That's weird. Hold on. They should have it. I'm actually quite sure they had more than one of these C2 frameworks. They have a PowerShell Empire, which is no problem. Let me just see. They have CrackMap exec, which I just love. Just give me a moment. I can't remember whether I saw it in this tool or I may be mixing it up, but I'm pretty sure they do, apart from just DNSCat. This has become a video that's now focusing on the pen tester framework, but yeah, I'll sort of go into some of the other things I experienced when using it. Again, I'm not going to have this live stream running for too long because obviously this is not a topic that that warrants it, but I'm happy to answer questions as we continue. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it has support for a few C2 frameworks. Awaken, do you have any course on Windows security? Not yet. I'm trying to work on a short series that covers, if you're talking about defensive security, you know, sort of like hardening Windows and Active Directory and stuff like that. I'll try and work on. Yeah. That's great, Marco. I thought I was mispronouncing your name earlier. So then, hello, this is, yeah, I need to get on top of these comments or these questions. Okay. Oh yeah, another update. When I did have some time, I was trying to update the bug bounty toolkit, which I know I haven't updated it. Trust me. But I'll tell you one thing. It's still running tools that work. So this is like a Docker image that contains all of the bug bounty tools that I utilized. Yeah, please forgive me. You can see I haven't updated it in a while, so I'm actually working on some fixes and also including the sniper framework as well as a mass, if I'm not wrong. A mass, the current version is seriously outdated. But yeah, most of the tools still work. But yeah, I'll be looking to update this. It still works great. I'm actually kind of happy how this actually shows the advantages of using something like Docker and Docker images, because it's sort of like a static snapshot, and you know, you can easily provision this on a VPS specifically for bug bounties. When I'm on a Mac, I typically revert to using a VPS or a Docker image like this. There was another tool that I'd seen that also utilized Docker to set up a quick environment really easily, a testing environment if you know if you want one spun up really quickly, but I can't remember its name. I'm gonna try and remember it. Mr. Unknown, are you? I don't really see your earlier question. I'm trying to find it here to try and answer it. All right, so that's the botnet question. Is this still related? How to stay on a system? Yeah, I would recommend watching my persistence videos. I've made a lot of a lot of videos on persistence on both Windows and Linux. But I'll also be working on some C2 stuff, C2 frameworks. Also talk about exfiltration. Omar is asking, I want advice from you. Recently, I entered cybersecurity, but a lot of people told me it's better to start in networking or administration field. Yeah, I would also the only reason why I say that is because networking or system administration or being a system administrator, it gives you it gives you the fundamentals. Like once you do networking and system administration, using Linux is no longer a problem. You've probably written bash scripts before. You understand how networks work. You understand, packet flow or network traffic flow. You can dissect packets or perform packet analysis. You understand the OSI model, the layers that make up the model. You're pretty much good to go. The only thing now, and of course, if you've worked as a system admin, especially if you've done both Windows and Linux, you know what are the common misconfigurations on those operating systems. You know what protocols run on what ports. You know how to target them. So it gives you really a very good understanding of stuff before you get into cybersecurity. But that's why within the last video that I made, the one that I just uploaded on the career roadmap, I've laid out a plan on how you can get that info without working in the field. So I always recommend learning Linux, Windows, how to provision, how to administrate both of the operating systems, and how to harden them. And also with regards to networking, I've highlighted the importance of it. These are really the pillars with regards to the fundamentals or the prerequisites, I would say. John Fahey is saying I'm more of a Ubuntu person. Yeah. I assume most people are, at least at a certain point in their life. We have a lot of gray arches and gray Ubuntus and a lot of that stuff. But coming back, one thing that I liked is the fact that it came with mostly open source tools. I did see an earlier release of BlackBuntu coming with Sublime, which I didn't like. Not that I don't like Sublime text, but this one comes with Kate, which I like. I think it's a really good text editor. Of course, a visual text editor, that is. It did not come with Vim. So, by the way, did I set up Vim on this? Hold on. Sorry. I can't even see my keyboard here. Did I configure my Vim? Yeah, all right. So you had to install Vim yourself. Let's see. What else did I like about it? Burp Suite and Zap come working and in order with the GRE configured, so no issues there. The forensic tools worked without an issue. I tried using Autopsy as well as this is not really for forensics, but I also use GDB. No issues there. Of course, that's not really a complicated tool. The reverse engineering tools, I believe I had an issue with JAD. Yara worked very well, although that's not really, again, a complex tool to use or doesn't have that many prerequisites. I'm just trying to remember what other tools I tested that I did not install explicitly. I believe that was in, let's see, not cracking, info gathering. Yes, as I said, it comes with the Yesenia. If I can, is it actually loaded up here? Fierce, we have that here. It should have, that's weird. I believe that was already installed. Yeah, it does come with Yesenia. So Yesenia worked very well. I actually tried this out on my laptop with, connected it to a network. Was able to do somewhat of a successful DHCP starvation attack. No issues there. So again, I can only speak about the stability of the tools that come pre-packaged. There's a lot of Android stuff here. So you can see you have Dex to Jar, Dex to Smalley, which is great for some of the modern Android apps. Ubuntu. Ah, yes. Ubuntu is another one of them. There's so many flavors of Ubuntu at this point. I don't think I should have made this. I should have covered this because, again, I just thought it'd be interesting to see, because we now have like 4 players within the pen testing distro world, as it were. We have BlackBuntu, which is sort of the newcomer, although not really. We have, actually, there's quite a lot of them. There's also ArchStrike, which is not really a distribution, but more so a layer, a series of packages, if you will. Yeah, I've used ArchStrike, really good, especially on a VPS that was running Arch, getting all the tools installed. They have a greater support for tools. Also, the Black Arch utility is quite useful. So we have ArchStrike, which again, we need to think of it in context. We have BlackBuntu. Do we still have Pen2 around? We have Kali and Parrot, of course. We do. We have Pen2. Okay, yeah, this is the real deal now. So this is a live OS or live distro. If you've never tried it out, please do. I would highly recommend you try it out. This is they've actually updated it from the last time I checked it out. Pretty interesting. What are they using now? They were using XFCE. They're still using XFCE. That's nice. That's nice. But this also has a good package support as well. I'll probably cover this. All right, so we have BlackBuntu, Black Arch, Artstrike, Pen2, Kali, Parrot. What else? What else? Don't think DistroWatch will be able to shine too much on that because none of the pen testing distributions are at the top. We also have Backbox. I remember I also used this quite a while in the good old days. I don't think they've updated it though. Backbox was pretty good. Built on XFCE, I think, as well. Let's see. Where can I download this? Is there a download link? There is. Okay. What's the latest release? I'm just trying to see whether they've updated it. Yeah, that's 2022. Yeah, so it's a fairly new release, Backbox 8. This is also pretty good. I like Backbox. I ran it once on a laptop for a very long time, but it's also built on Ubuntu, so keep that in mind. Yes, Mr. Unknown, I'll make a video on that. I'll make a video on that urgently. Yes, Backbox. I know that I would have thought they would have called it Blackbox, but yeah, it's Backbox. I like this distro actually. It's quite a good one. I like Backbox. It's also very, very fast actually. Let me see whether they've... Yeah, it comes with XFCE, and you have some pretty good tools out of the box. Backtrack. Yeah, I believe you can still get some old Backtrack distros. There's always good fun going back to those days. Let me see. I think they still... I think they still maintain them. Let me see. I believe they still maintain some of the old ones. Yes, they do. Hold on. Have they gotten rid of the links? Offensive security. Hold on. They used to have a proper repo with all of them. They have a cool trailer video here. Oh, none of these are hyperlinked. Sort of like a roadmap of their history. But I remember these days here, starting off from 08 onwards. These were the good days. They also were based on Ubuntu for a certain amount of time, but obviously that's changed. It's been a long... They've been at it for a long time. Almost 20 years. Yeah, you can still get some of the OG backtrack wallpapers on Kali by just installing the the community wallpapers package. They have a... In fact, it's a really good collection. Yeah. I think I've gone through most of the questions. Let me see if I've missed anything else. White Ubuntu? No, I don't think I've tried that out. I just prefer standard Ubuntu. Backbox has a bit more customization with regards to the UI. The desktop environment is different. I believe they have repo support for a specific set of core packages, but not everything. Oh yeah, the Kali 1.0 and Backtrack, and also Backtrack for Black Hat. Those wallpapers were really cool. In fact, they're much better than the newer wallpapers. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the wallpaper that comes with BlackBuntu. With the latest release, I had to go into the repo and download it. But oh yeah, one thing I wanted to share with you guys is this is a great learning experience. That now I remember the reason why I wanted to share this video, make this video, and that was with regards to their repository. So you can see this BlackBuntu here. So BlackBuntu is based, or the actual setup of the distro, as many of you know, is through the setup, through a live install setup. So they utilized live custom Ubuntu from scratch. So if you ever want to roll your own distribution based on Ubuntu, take a look at this distro here. It's very, very easy to set up. You pretty much chroot and set up the packages. If you have your own set of repositories, you can add them, modify the distro, change the themes, the icon packs, change the kernel as well, and then specify tools you would like to install or install them manually. Again, you can use the pentester framework here as well. I've done this a long time ago with Katulin, not the pentester framework. But yeah, it's fairly easy. You can roll out an ISO really quickly, customized and configured to your own liking. Also, for those of you who are looking for a very, very good learning experience with regards to Linux, I think most of you know this, but take a look at Linux from scratch. If you want to do this, which we have done, take a look at this, how to essentially build your own custom Linux system from source. So pretty much, your own distribution, and you'll learn a lot. Yeah, I have like many Black Arch videos. I have a whole playlist on Black Arch on the channel. Although I haven't checked out their latest release, where you have the slim version, which is sort of the thinned up, or let's say Black Arch on a diet. All right, this has been going for, let's see, 1.5 hours. Omar, good resources for Security Plus. I'll share that with you in the description now. I'll always recommend him for all CompTIA certs. His content is all free, and he also has a few other challenges, but Professor Messer's content is excellent. I'll paste it in the chat box here. Take a look at some of your questions. Try Athena OS. Athena OS. Is that a new distro? I haven't heard of that. I stopped distro hopping a long time ago, but let's see what this is all about. Oh, this is pretty cool, man. New Pentax. Oh, this is awesome. I'm glad I took a look at your comment there. So Athena can access the Black Arch repo, the biggest pen testing tool warehouse. That is true. It's user-oriented. If Arch is born for experienced users, Athena is conceived for decreasing complexity and improving user experience. It's lightweight. I like this. I'm liking this a lot. Do they have a website? Because I just saw the GitHub repo there. But anyway, I'll check this out. Hacking. Oh, okay. Hold on. Athena, codename Parthenos, ancient Greek for. I don't think I can say that on YouTube without getting flagged. Hacking roles, added new roles for hacking activity. All right, interesting. As NeoVim, I like that. Okay, all right. This is looking interesting. I think this is going to... well, to be honest, I don't understand how this works yet. So let me see. Let me take... Well, I believe I've already taken a look at some screenshots here. All right, so it has some very nice themes. Very nice. Okay. We can see we have Mimikatz, we have PowerShell Empire on that doc, and we have comics. Let's see. All right, so it looks pretty clean. Could you guys, like the guy who posted this in the comment, just give me an idea as to how this works, because I'm a bit confused at the moment. It's pretty cool, man. Yes, I do use i3. I believe some videos I did record in i3, although they caused quite a bit of confusion. Athena OS. This looks nice. Has hack the box integration and more. What do you mean hack the box integration? So with your account or via the API, or do they have like an access token? I'm not sure. Oh, this is pretty cool. Okay, I can see it here. I can see it here. Cannot you wait for opening browser and accessing to hack the box website? Athena gives you the possibility to play hack the box machines directly on your operating system environment in a quick and comfortable manner. All right, so you can easily switch, so connect and disconnect to the VPN service, play any active machine you wish, play starting point machine. So does it like simplify the UI? All right, so I'm guessing you have like this this wheel, and okay, so it says for playing retired machines, hack the box. I definitely need to check this out. This is I'm liking this. I really like what this is all about. So it has all those very cool browser add-ons. Payload to dock. Payload to dock is based on Dash to Dock and keeps access to the most famous payload repositories. It allows you to get the latest version of payloads and accessing their path directly by the shell. Okay. Has the black arch. Oh, I like this. I like this. It has the NIST feed here. Okay, you know what? This is possibly another live stream. But yeah, this is awesome. I've never heard of this. That's weird, man. Yes, Josh is really good at reverse engineering, malware analysis, ransomware analysis. Yeah, I can see that I'll have another live stream. This should have been today's live stream, but there's a couple of others that I wanted to show. But you can see this is actually kind of cool. If we didn't have the BlackBuntu live stream, we wouldn't have known about Athena OS. Do they have a website? That would be really interesting, because they have their own. They also have an Instagram, and it looks like someone on Reddit asked the question that I'm asking. Someone deleted it. Okay. All right. Oh, we got some bad feedback here. But in any case, I'm going to try it out. I'll be the judge of whether it's good or bad. I'll probably use it for some of the CTFs that I'm doing. Spicy pen testing operating system demo. Can I actually play videos in my VM? Did I have acceleration enabled? All right, so it looks like we have a video on this. It was released 6 months ago. All right, so I think that wheel is pretty cool. But can you like... Okay, I'm not understanding how this works. This is very, very interesting. This is like sort of a new way of interacting with your desktop, man. Huh. That's pretty cool. All right, so you can launch tools very easily. So it's sort of like a weapon wheel in like video games. Yeah, actually, this looks like an interesting concept. Let's see. I like that it's based on Arch. Oh, that is pretty awesome, man. You can actually interact and submit your flags, your actor box flags in the terminal. All right. Okay. This is pretty good, man. Yeah, again, well, why did I close that tab up? Let me just take a step back. Athena. Again, I'm not really familiar with the terminology, but Yeah. In any case, it's the Greek capital city. That's Athens, correct? Was it is it correctly said as Athena or is it Athens? Again, I'm asking. I don't know. Oh, Adonai is already installing it right now. Oh, oh. What's going on with my hair? Well, I don't know, man. I just thought I needed a haircut beginning of the year. Got it, got it. Thank you, Takis. Yeah, history is always good. I think of my main distro for daily use. What I currently have right now is I run Manjaro. Don't judge me. That's what's on my laptop. I use Linux specifically on my laptop. Um, yeah. But for VMs, I have like a ton of them. I have a Kali, Ubuntu whenever I need that. I have a dev box for development work. Adonai, let us know. Uh, let us know whether let us know what it's like. But yeah, I'll definitely be trying this out. It's actually kind of cool, man. Although I'm not really, I don't know if this is a lock screen or something like that. But I also saw they had some sort of a Chat GPT, um, and they have a sort of like a matrix here. So the list of the pentoxic menu is also deployable by red team button is the following. So, all right, so I'm guessing this is the quasi weapon wheel here via the pentoxic menu. I've never used the pentoxic menu. There's also a ponage menu. All right, so yeah, okay, so I'm assuming this is proprietary to this project. I'm assuming I thought that was sort of like a package, a Unix or Linux package. But hold the phone, hold the phone. I like that. Key bindings. Yeah, these are not too crazy, but there's also environment variables here. There's tmux, which I like. There's a tool recipe. So we have Acinema, which is great if you want to share your terminal recordings. Yeah, this looks very interesting. Huh. There's a Docker container. Implementation of blue team tools. Support. Publications. It was it's actually published in Pentest magazine. Let's take a look at this. There we are. All right, so not much of an article, although I'm not going to read through all of that. Okay, let's see. When was this last updated and what are the packages? All right, so it's fairly recent. Let's see. Let's take a look at this release here. This is the change log. So there's a note-taking app. Okay, so it looks like there's like a lot of bloat, or there might be. Implemented logic for automating the usage of NVIDIA driver in Xorg and Wayland. Okay, that's great. I like that, although I don't use NVIDIA anymore. Although that would have been nice, because I've had issues with that. But let's see what the size is like. Hold on, let's check a look at... Let's take a look at the files here. 2.7 gig, not bad, not bad. Okay, so it turns out that this live stream has turned into a an unintended promo for Athena, although I haven't tried it, but definitely something I will be exploring when I have time, that is. Oh boy, Jack in the shop has just joined. Mr. Unknown is asking for a shout out. Mr. Unknown, there is your shout out. Do I need to learn WebDAV to pen test effectively? No, WebDAV is not that difficult to understand or to pen test. It's actually one of those things you can learn 100%. Coming back to my earlier comment. Yeah, this been an interesting live stream. I really like this. Really like this. Let me know if you guys like this on a weekly basis. Again, I know I just wanted to start off with a light topic, but this is what I like. Is it can sort of lead us down paths I didn't expect, and I really thank you. In fact, the individual who pointed out Athena OS, could you just put in a comment so I can give you a shout out as well? Because yeah, this is pretty cool. And you can also suggest topics for next week's live stream. It'll probably be on Friday or Saturday around the same time. And yeah, it's actually spent a lot of time here. Hannah, probably any collab with Shodan in the future. Promo, I think so. I mean, I've made videos on Shodan before, but yeah, I mean, happy to try it. I do use Shodan quite a bit, but through the terminal primarily. Thank you for the feedback. So yeah, you can suggest topics for the next live stream. As I said, now we have everything ready for the release of videos coming on Monday. So we're now back to our normal schedule. So you can expect 3 videos per week in addition to the live stream. As I said, I'll try and keep the live streams limited to 1.5 hours, although we've gone overboard today. But I think it's a great way of interacting with everyone. Yeah, I'm here for the next 2 minutes and we'll end today's stream. So big up, thanks for joining on a Friday, now a Saturday for me. Yeah. And also we're looking to get on guests. So if you know anyone you'd like me to invite onto the channel, let me know. Thank you, Dino the Gorilla. Appreciate it, man. John Hammond, sure, that probably is a good idea. Master over the wire, yes, that's a good idea. I was thinking to discuss Linux, if I can, possibly. I don't know. I think it is possible, but a great guest to have on would be Richard Stallman. I would really like to have him on and sort of go through open source and also yeah, Richard Stallman is my ultimate is the ultimate. So Cybermentor, yeah, sure, okay, all right. I think those are all good ideas. Please try and cover my topic in the next stream or video. Yes, I'll definitely do that, Mr. Unknown. DistroTube, oh yeah, I really I actually watch a lot of his content nowadays. So we start off with DistroTube, no particular order. Also Luke Smith, who also does a lot of Linux open source stuff. Really like watching them. Let's see, I'm just reading some of the other comments. Isabel Lamont, would you allow reaction videos to your video series? I do you want to make a reaction video? I mean, sure. I have no problem with that. David Bomble, yes. Steve Gibson, that's another good one. Occupy the Web. Nullbyte. Well, Nullbyte was actually. I don't think the channel is active, but I know that I can't remember his name. Yeah, we actually communicate quite a lot on Twitter. He actually has his own. I think it's Security for the Win is the new channel. Yeah, Cody. Yeah, but the ultimate, that I'm really pushing for is Richard Stallman. Yeah, sorry about that. I've just butchered the channel's name. Simply Cyber, yes. I believe I have done an interview with Gerald Auger from Simply Cyber. It's on his channel. You can check that out. When I invite Stallman, I'm gonna be recording on. I'll make sure my screen share is specifically like on a clean Windows 10 install, and that's going to be the beginning of the discussion. All right, Jerry. Definitely. I'll try and by the way also CyberSec is also welcome. Most definitely, but yeah. All right. I think if there's no more questions, I'm gonna end it at 2 hours, which is I believe where we are at. Nothing CyberSec. You didn't do anything. I was just saying. I think you joined in by the time we we're talking about getting guests on the live streams. So we're just saying that you can join in as well, maybe for a future episode. Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, again, this is all about engagement with the community. So I'm also happy to jump into like Discord Discord room with you guys, have a discussion, and also live stream that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, CyberSec. That's I'm well aware of that. Yes, Cali Purple. I've actually reviewed. I've used it quite a lot over the last 2 weeks. I'm going to make a video on it because there's a lot of stuff you need to understand with regards to how it works. Katie Paxton talks about bug bounty on night to talk about hacking APIs. Okay, I appreciate the feedback. So I'm taking note of all of these individuals, and I will try and get them on if I can. But yeah, I think that's where we'll end it. So to summarize, because we've gone on various tangents throughout today's live stream, BlackBuntu is a valid option for anyone who likes installing their own stuff and managing their own tools. And someone who, generally speaking, likes Ubuntu. Athena OS looks to be like a CTF player's dream, I believe. I would assume. CTF player's dream. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. I'll definitely be trying this, in fact, after I finish this live stream, just to see how this works. So it looks like a proper gamified experience, which I like, actually. The fact that you can interact with Hack the Box and submit flags from within the terminal is really, really cool. Well, it's 2 a.m. for me, so I'm 2 hours, relatively speaking, 2 hours behind you. I don't think there's any book specifically on red teaming techniques or TTPs, but the book I would recommend, yeah, I wouldn't recommend a book. I would always just say red team field manual. Um, yeah, I'm pretty much awake. I would say mostly, I actually don't know how to describe it because just a bit at this point, just a bit confused with time zones. So actually, Hack Like a God is pretty good by Sparkflow. That's thank you, Trusty Ape. Trusty Ape, thank you. That's a you reminded me. That actually gives you a bit of understanding of tradecraft. So hack like a I can't say the word, but hack like that particular profession and hack like a god is yeah, hacker playbook is good, but you should definitely try Sparkflow's books. They're set in a much more of a narrative tradecraft format in that they sort of walk you through, they start off with a sample scenario of like breaking into a bank or breaking into a financial institution and walk you through setting up infrastructure, the tools to use, resource development, weaponization, etc., all the way to impact where you're doing exfiltration, etc. All right. By the way, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to be ending the live stream. I do apologize sincerely if I didn't answer your questions. It was not out of malice or anything like that. It's just coming very, very quick and they keep refreshing. So I have to make sure that I can always go back to a particular point where I left off, etc. All right, so thanks everyone for joining. Thank you to everyone for contributing. There's been, I think we've all learned quite a lot about pen testing distributions and also got a very good introduction to Athena OS, which I'll be trying out. So, um, yeah. All right, so cool. Thanks everyone for joining. I'll probably be seeing you in the next video and consequently the next live stream, which will either be on Friday or Saturday. I can't really guarantee the day. Depends on my workload. But yeah, thanks. And I'll see you guys later. So